cut savagely in order to become sustainable. It could not be sorted out by means of loans and austerity.
When I said muddle through, I meant you thought that somehow Greece could get beyond a default, stay in the euro.
My position has always been that Greece cannot get out of the euro without the euro collapsing well and truly. And I think Mrs. Merkel today reflected that fact. Let's put it very simply. There is no doubt that the Germans do not want to share their currency with the Greeks. And these days, I don't think the Greeks want to share their currency with the Germans either. But we are in this gridlock where we cannot get out and they cannot push us out. And they cannot do it unless they decide that the euro has completely and totally failed, in which case they will not push Greece out. They will bail themselves out by reconstituting their own currency, perhaps together with the rest of the surplus countries of the Eurozone, possibly with Poland, Estonia, Slovakia, the other countries whose industrial sectors have been fused with the German one.
To outsiders, to some outsiders, it seems blindingly obvious that Greece just is not in a position to repay its debts in a normal way. It is going to have some kind of default, I would say a spectacular default. Mm-hmm. If that happens, doesn't it have to throw in the towel on the euro? No, it can't. Because if it does, then the euro is finished. The moment it throws the towel in, or is allowed to do that, by the powers that be within the Eurozone, the speculators will... You say the euro is finished. The euro as we know it is finished, but there could be a euro Mark II. No? The euro would be finished in the sense of a common currency involving those 17 countries, surplus and deficit countries. What will happen is there's certainly going to be a new strong currency that will resemble the mark. What will happen to the rest of the countries will depend to a large extent on Paris, whether France wants to lead a Latin Union 19th century style with Italy, Spain, possibly Portugal. Greece is neither here nor there. I can't predict that far into the future whether it will join that. Ireland may return into the fold of the sterling. It can go its own way. We are in black swan territory, so everything is highly unpredictable once the breakup happens. But what I do know is that if that breakup happens, we're going to have a massive global recession because Germany and the surplus countries are going to lose their Asian markets through the revaluation of their currency. It will be a very bleak postmodern version of the 1930s. So you are still clinging to the idea that somehow the politicians will find enough glue and sticky back plastic to stick all this together and make it work? I'm very pessimistic of this. What I do know is they can make it work, and they can make it work within a month if they had the political will to do it. Technically, it is highly feasible, but I believe that the tragedy that Europe and by extension the rest of the world is facing is that those who have the power to reject the euro, if they use it, they will lose it. And what I mean by this is if they effect some kind of consolidation at the continental level, at the Eurozone level, and they make the euro work, suddenly they, and I'm particularly referring here to Mrs. Merkel, to Germany, they will be one of 17 nations. They will no longer be able to dictate the agenda at summit meetings. So this is the great conundrum. Do they want to use their current power in order to fix the euro and avert the catastrophe and then lose Germany's political power within the Council of Europe? And I don't think that they are ready for that, which means that the euro project may sink with terrible consequences for everyone. People talk about a failure of political will here or a failure of political leadership, but in the end, Mrs. Merkel or any other German leader has got to face the German people, the German taxpayers. And surely it's the taxpayers who are saying, we're just not having this. We don't want our taxes to be Greek taxes. We don't want their poor credit rating to be our credit rating. But surely they don't want a huge recession and trebling of unemployment either. Well, maybe they'll call your bluff. Maybe they don't agree with you. It's not a question of bluffs. It's a question of realities. If the euro breaks up and the mark is reconstituted or something like this, you see what's happening with the Swiss franc. That new currency is going to double in value. They will lose the Chinese markets, and the German manufacturing, sparkling, wonderful manufacturing industry is going to enter a deep hole. But the main point I want to make here is about leadership. The difference between a leader and an administrator, the difference between Helmut Kohl and Mrs. Merkel
President Mitterrand and President Sarkozy is that the leader does not follow public opinion. In crucial moments, at critical times, a leader like the people that I mentioned, Churchill, you can think of any decent leader that you wish to think of, has the capacity of steering the nation in a direction which is in the common interest both of the nation and of the bloc to which it belongs.
Let's take at face value your analysis that were Greece to leave the euro, the roof would fall in. It would be terrible. That doesn't mean it's not going to happen.
I very much fear it might happen.
So have you changed your mind on that it's more likely now than it was perhaps even a month ago?
Yes, absolutely. And the reason for that, if you want to know what the reason for my greater pessimism is that I'm getting signals from European capitals that they're not even interested, let alone Eurobonds and fiscal consolidation. They're not even interested in some solution to the banking crisis, which is now brewing in a spectacular fashion, in bringing about some kind of pan-European, Eurozone-wide body for coordinating action to deal with a banking crisis. If they are not prepared to do that, then the writing is on the wall.
Professor Varoufakis, nice to see you again. Many thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much.